Welcome to Bracket Batch, the podcast. We take a bracket of 32, 64, 128 and more and banter our way down to a winner. I am your host this week, Freddie Fisher, and this is...
I am Nancy Patterson of the Dr. P.F. Jeremiah podcast.
And there's only two of us this week because the flu and other stuff in the spring season has really wiped the crap out of people, and I'm not a huge fan of it. So uh, I feel sorry for those people, but I'm feeling great. I hope Nancy's feeling great. In today's show, we are talking about somebody who is also usually feeling great as well, and that is Helena Bonham Carter. You may know her from movies like uh, Fight Club and Alice in Wonderland and Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Sweeney Todd is a good one, but most likely you'll know her as Bellatrix from the Harry Potter series. Uh, Personally, I'm not a huge Potter fan, but there's a whole bunch. Is a Sweet 16 episode today, and the three votes you're going to be hearing is myself, Nancy, and of course we have the audience vote, because all week the audience on the Bracket Bastards podcast audience vote on Facebook has been voting all week long, so they get a definite say this week to figure out a winner, and we're going to be getting to that in a second. There are no lifelines this week because there's only three people, so I don't really figure there really needs to be anything. So this is going to be a no pass to parcel, no steal a vote, and no lows being blown episode. It's one of the first one of those we've have had in a long time, but I'm going to go ahead and start us off on this one. All right. It is either Ocean's 8 or Fight Club. Fight Club has one of my favorite quotes of all time in it. Reminds me of a friend of mine, not in the way that you'd be laughing at, but she says, "I haven't been fucked like that since grade school."
Oh wow! I feel like that probably goes as one of like my personal top 10 lines that she's had in movies.
Yep. So Fight Club will be getting my vote. I like the Ocean series. I think Ocean's 8 got a lot more crap than it deserved from the outside crowd. A lot of
Agreed.
people a lot of people don't seem to like the female led movies type things, especially the remakes. Ghostbusters got a lot of crap too. But
I actually
granted,
like Ghostbusters,
I
and I know
hated
a lot of people didn't, but I actually really liked that Ghostbusters.
I hated that version of Ghostbusters. But um oh, Ocean's 8 isn't bad. It does give good credence to the actual Ocean's series itself, so I appreciate it. Either way, Fight Club will be getting my vote. Nancy, is it Fight Club or Ocean's 8?
Yeah, I'm gonna say I probably have a similar opinion on both these movies, but if we're going on her performance, I feel like she has more to do, and she is like a lot more enjoyable in Fight Club than she is in Ocean's 8. She had a really cool role in Ocean's 8. I like that she was a fashion designer, but I'm gonna go with Fight Club.
Fight Club gets a vote from Nancy. It also gets a vote from the audience. The audience went 22-1 on this particular one. Nancy starts this one off. Nancy, is it Cinderella or Les Mis?
Oh. Oh. So I'm gonna go for this one just because she is killer in both of those. For the small part of time she is in both of them, she also sings in both of them. Only one of them in the actual cut of the movie did they put her singing. Um, but I'm gonna go based on personal enjoyment. I personally have more fun watching Cinderella. And I also just had more fun like watching her in Cinderella. Or actually no, I had equal fun watching her in Cinderella and Les Mis because she's the only fun part about Les Mis. Let's be real. She and Sasha Baron Cohen. But I'm gonna go with Cinderella.
The audience, however, does not agree with you on that with a vote of 15-5. Les Mis gets that vote, which means it's a tie-breaking decision coming down to me. I'm a theater nerd. I always have been a theater nerd. I'm a theater kid. I grew up in the
Me
theater.
too.
Theater saved my life when I was in high school. Shout out to Mrs. Natalie Dahmer now down in uh, Pasadena, Texas. I think that's the town name. I can't remember. Anyway, one of my favorite teachers of all time, definitely top three of all time for different reasons. They have a tendency to switch, but she saved, as a theater teacher, saved my high school career type thing, kept me going
Nice.
to school. We never did Les Mis. I have seen Les Mis in a high school production of here in town. Pella Christian does a wonderful job back then. I'm actually going to see a Pella Christian school play in it next weekend. We're going to go see the show Noises Off, which is another really really good play if you like the technical side of showbiz type stuff. But I like to see Carter in a more of a nice role because she's usually playing villains, or at least anti-heroes.
Yeah,
At
she's
least,
always like an anti-hero or a villain, or at least like, as in with Les Mis, she's a bit of like a sleazeball.
yeah. Yeah, she's kind of the sleazeball in Les Mis, but she plays the fairy godmother in Cinderella.
Yeah, and that was one where when I heard that she was cast as a godmother, I'm like, that's an interesting choice. And then I saw her, and I'm like, she actually works really well as like the flouncy, bubbly godmother.
And I was really surprised about that too. And it's just, now, granted, that's not my favorite rendition of Cinderella.
It's probably the best of the live action remakes, though. It's
I
so,
disagree. I
I feel
disagree.
like it's at least in the top three.
My favorite live action version of Cinderella is the one that had Brandy in it.
Me too. Me too. And I get such flack from it. I get
Well,
such flack from everyone. I get flack from him. I get flack from my own family. Like
I
when
don't
I told,
understand. I don't understand though how you have a black mom, a white dad, and you turn out to be Korean though. Like that. That's all always bothered me. But I mean, to each their own. Back when Whoopi was actually decent,
yeah.
but I'm gonna go with Les Mis on this one, breaking the tie-breaking decision. It's Les Mis 2-1 to the next round. Audience will be starting off on this one. It is Lone Ranger or Big Fish. As a dad, Big Fish is one of my favorite movies of all time. We had a dad movie bracket a couple of years ago, and Big Fish. I can't remember if it was definitely top four in the actual thing, and I got outvoted. I think Taken ended up winning that entire thing, even though he's a horrible dad in that movie. The entire
Hmm.
franchise, I think Liam Neeson in that movie is one of the most worst dads of all time, putting his kids and his wife in danger. Big Fish, however, it's a damn good story, damn good movie. I think it's excellently shot too, which is rare anymore, and it has a wonderful cast, and Carter being part of that cast, just even though she's nowhere near as a standout in that cast as uh, some of the other people in
Yeah.
in that movie, but she adds to it to the point that it's a good rendition. Big Fish, Big Fish gets the audience vote 25-6. It also gets my vote in this situation. Nancy, is it Big Fish or Lone Ranger?
It's Big Fish. I'm sorry. Like Big Fish was one of those movies where I didn't see till it had like been out for a while, and I checked it out because I had back when Rotten Tomatoes used to have a television show. They had Alexis Bledel was talking about her favorite movies, and she mentioned how much she loved Big Fish, and so me and my sister were like, we're gonna watch it, and they were like, oh my gosh, this is awesome.
Yeah, it
And
it
I
goes it goes under the radar, and I don't know why it's not a bigger movie,
yeah.
especially around Father's Day, because it's
Oh,
a
yeah.
definite dad movie. You get movies like Mrs. Doubtfire and Taken, for instance; those get the entire movie buzzworthy on uh, Father's Day. But Big Fish, Big Fish really hits you in the feels a lot. So like it's
The final
one of those.
scene.
Emotional damage.
Oh, yeah. The final scene of Big Fish is, like, the funeral scene when you see all the people, coming to the funeral, and that just I have goosebumps now talking about that scene, that's a scene that's ingrained in my head, and it's just, like it, like, plays in my head on repeat. I love that scene.
Big Fish gets the vote, gets the sweep. Moving on, I start us off as either Dark Shadows or Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. She had a big role in Dark Shadows.
Yeah.
Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, though, she played Charlie's mom.
Yeah. And, like, Charlie's mom and in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, Charlie's mom has a little bit less to do than in, Willy Wonka in the Chocolate
It,
Factory.
it's yeah, I know
So,
it's one of those things. It's just
I literally think so this was back when she was with Tim Burton, and so he would put her in nearly every single thing he was doing, and he put Johnny Depp in most of the things he was doing.
yeah.
And I think he just was like, "I need a character for you to play. Um, I'm gonna just put you as Charlie's mom. I don't have anyone else for you to play." And that's just to me. It's like she worked. She was great. Is it a memorable performance from her? Nope.
No, it's not.
Do I like the movie slightly better than Dark Shadows? Just by like this much. But I'm gonna pick Dark Shadows because she had more to do. She was more enjoyable to watch, and it was like a bigger role.
See, I'm the exact opposite on that one. I think Dark Shadows is a better movie than than Charlie and the Chocolate Factory is, and that's not even comparing Charlie versus Willy Wonka. Those two different variations of it.
Yeah,
I personally think Charlie and the Chocolate Factory and Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory are both horror movies for kids.
they are.
Like
As
just
someone who is so I was actually in a stage production of Willy Wonka as Willy Wonka, and I will say with the director outright said, "I am cutting this song from you to sing because I don't want to scare the actors who are acting with you or the kids in the audience." So I'm like, "That's great."
either way, on the flip side of this one, the audience disagreed with us. I went with Dark Shadows, by the way. Nancy went with Dark Shadows. The audience, in a vote of 19-4, ended up going with Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. They get outvoted on today's vote. Nancy, is it Alice in Wonderland or Alice in the Looking Glass?
Oh, Alice in Wonderland. Alice in Wonderland. Oh man. That again and we're talking about like live action Disney remakes. Alice in Wonderland is one that is like I adore. I wanted Alice in Looking Glass to be so much better than it was. I went in like with how much that I was surprised by Alice in Wonderland and how much I loved Alice in Wonderland. I had like these high expectations for Alice in the Looking Glass, and then I saw it, and me and Dave, this was like one of the first movies we saw together. And we just looked at each other like, well, that was 90 minutes of our lives.
The audience agreed with you, by the way, in a vote of 20-1. Alice in Wonderland gets that particular vote. I'm not a fan of either one of these movies, to be perfectly honest. Like, they're okay, but I also automatically compare them to the original version of Alice in
Yeah.
Wonderland, and that's a classic movie, and it just
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't think it'll ever be beaten as far as different stuff goes. There was a made for TV movie
With Martin
of
Short.
Alice that was
With that one?
that I can't remember if it was that one or not. I think it was actually, but
Yeah, I think he
uh
was the Mad Hatter.
yeah, that sounds familiar. It wasn't called Alice in Wonderland though. It was just called Alice, I believe. And it was twisted version of it, but I appreciate it. Alice in
Are
Wonderland
you
gets my
talking
vote.
about the actual, like, made for TV one where it was the story, or are you talking about the sci-fi one? Because I also love the sci-fi one called Alice.
I think it was
Um,
the
there was one where it's basically she's an adult, and it's like this sci-fi dystopian world.
no. She was a kid in
Okay.
this one. Don't.
Okay. No, so check out if you like science fiction and more like um kind of off retellings of the classic stories. It's a mini series. It's called Alice. And it basically is she is an adult who she goes to Wonderland, and Wonderland kind of has like this bit of this dystopian vibe. Um, they use drugs to get like emotions and stuff. Like it is crazy. I don't know. It sounds weird me explaining it to you, but it's like so in her world, she has a boyfriend, and he she watches him get kidnapped by a person in a big rabbit mask, and she ends up in Wonderland. Turns out her boyfriend is the Prince of Wonderland. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy, but it's really good, and I love it so much. It's such a strange retelling of the story.
Speaking of really strange stories, on top of that, audience searches off is either going to be uh, the Harry Potter series, and I knocked it down to the the climax of it because I think that's where she's most well known, with the exception
Yeah,
of when they were in Gringotts, and it's her pretending to be Hermione, pretending to be her
yeah.
at the same time, and it's just the levels of acting on that scene alone is absolutely incredible, and I applaud her. Versus series of unfortunate events,
Oh yeah.
movie from she had a very small part in series of unfortunate events. I didn't even recognize her, to be perfectly honest.
No, it took me a second. You said it, and I'm like, oh yeah, she was in there.
I'm gonna go for Potter on this one, mainly for that particular scene. I've never liked series of unfortunate events anyway. Uh, just yeah. But if you want to talk about like Alice in Wonderland and Charlie and Chocolate Factory and stuff like that being creepy, series of unfortunate events is super creepy too, and
Oh,
it's just not my cup of tea. Uh,
series of unfortunate events is was basically a lot of kids gateway book into um slight horror and like depressing. Like if you were a kid if you were an emo kid at the time I was an emo kid, you probably went series of unfortunate events a couple years before. Like that was like one of when I was a kid that was like super popular, and when I first read it I was like, "Oh, this is what this book is going to be."
See, I've
But
never
it's
read
so
the books, but I have watched the movies, and
so
I've
if you ever get a
yeah.
chance, they have this is a book that the audiobook has the perfect narrator. It's Tim Curry narrates the audiobook. And it's absolutely perfect. It is the perfect narrator, and no one compares. But that being said, I'm going with Harry Potter because, first off, I forgot she was in Series of Unfortunate Events. Second off, between the acting of the polyjuice scene, like, yes, because they even talked about how it's not that she's just playing another person. She's playing another person who's pretending to be her. So it's like she has to like have all those layers of like I'm not just playing Hermione in my body, I'm playing Hermione in my body, but she's trying to pretend to be me. And like that's crazy. Also, while she doesn't say it, she is the character who one of my favorite lines in the Harry Potter movies is said to, "Not my daughter, you b
Mhm.
words."
By the way, I'm currently working on our Mother's Day special, working on that list on movie moms. And yes, Molly Weasley does make an appearance in that particular. tournament. Harry Potter moves on in a sweep, by the way, 3-0. The audience voted with us 65-2. No, there's that one. I start this one off. It's either going to be Great Expectations or Planet of the Apes. I was unaware she was in Planet of the Apes remake.
Yep.
And granted, she played one of the apes, so this goes more down to the makeup people and the fact that I don't really like the Planet of the Apes remakes anyway.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, that one was a film I watched.
but Mrs. Habersham, I believe her name is
Yes,
one of
Mrs.
my
Patterson.
favorite literature characters of all time.
She's also one of the best. That is one of the best portrayals of that character I've seen.
It
Is
really
her.
is. Uh, so I'm gonna go with Great Expectations on this one. Nancy, Great Expectations or Planet of the Apes?
Great Expectations. That was also something when I saw that cast announcement, I was just like, that's a no brainer, is her as that character. And she just did so good. She did so good as that character.
And it moves on with that, but audience, by the way, is going to be going with Planet of the Apes in a vote of 14-6. So it was closer than people would expect. Last up in round one, so the final two movies that we'll be talking about in this particular tournament. Nancy starts us off. Nancy, is it Corpse Bride or Sweeney Todd?
Oh, you know, I've mentioned this before, but in the 2000s, I was a slightly emo theater kid. So, of course, you make the two most emo theater kid movies compete against each other. Oh my gosh.
By the way, for everybody out there, these were not randomly matched up. I did put all these, since it was a Sweet 16, it's a lot easier for me to just to kind of pick out what I want to pick out for different things. There's there's a bracket coming up in somewhere this summer on June 1st. We're doing a tournament of notable neighbors, and I just got that one done. I got that one done yesterday, and I did pick out all the first round matchups for that one too. So it does happen every once in a while. So if you care to blame me, go ahead and blame me. I have broad shoulders. I can take it.
Yeah, fuck you, Freddie. Um,
Not when your husband's not here. Damn.
I mean, he's in the next room.
Oh, we got to be quiet then.
Yeah. So I'm gonna say, uh, so I think I'm going to go. I love Sweeney Todd. I love the musical. It is definitely in my top 5 of musicals. I love this musical. However, where I am not necessarily going to go with it is she did fine. She did great, but she is not my favorite Mrs. Lovett.
Oh no.
She is not my favorite Mrs. Lovett. Where Corpse Bride, her as Emily is it's perfect. And she's so able, even though like with her voice and stuff, to just like really bring an innocence and a vulnerability to Emily where you pull for Emily. You like I love Emily in Corpse Bride so much. She is like the best. So I'm going to go with Corpse Bride just because Angela Lansbury is the best Mrs. Lovett. So that's why I'm going to go with Corpse Bride.
The audience disagreed with you, by the way, in a vote of
Of course he did.
59-11. Sweeney Todd gets that particular vote. I she in Corpse Bride, she's one of the very few Disney characters that I would ever get a pinup tattoo of.
Oh
And I've
yeah,
always wanted something like that.
you're so smart.
I wanted like a sexy Disney versions of like pinup tattoos. Belle, there's an artist I'm gonna have to send it to you one of these days. But there's an artistry one of Belle sitting on a stack of books. That is really cool. I think that would make an excellent pinup. Sally from Night Before Christmas would make an excellent pinup type thing. And since she's stitched together, you can do pretty much whatever you want to do with her as far as a pinup goes too. But I think she's an actual absolutely beautiful character. However, I'm a theater kid. I'm a dark and twist. I have a dark sense of humor a lot of the time. So Sweeney Todd is definitely up my alley, and Sweeney Todd will be getting my particular vote on this one. Moving on, 2-1 faces another 2-1 in the next round.
Not mad about that.
No,
That was a tough one for me.
it was a tough one for me too because I do like the movie Corpse Bride. I haven't watched it in a couple years though, and I don't know why. It's
Well,
just
I watch it every Halloween. That's one of my
I
go-to for Halloweens.
I mean, Nightmare Before Christmas, Halloween Town, stuff like that is uh a Goofy movie is a Halloween special for me too. I don't know why. I think it's kind of a back to school thing for me, but it just kind of goes with uh the Halloween fall type situation. But yeah, Sweeney Todd, 2-1. Next round. We'll be right back right after this break. Mm. Before I became a podcaster, I never imagined that all these 5-star reviews did anything important. I was unfortunately very wrong about that. But being the bastards we are, we're not just going to expect you to give up those 5 stars with nothing in return. But I'll trade you for it. If you send us a letter or question or anything that you deem necessary along with those 5 stars, we will not only give you a shout out on the show, but we'll read your submission live on air. We call this our Thank You To Review. If you want to be part of the Thank You To Review too, it is bracket BRACKETTY2R at yahoo.com to get in. It also works if you want to be a guest on any of these shows on the ABC podcast channel. Today's letter comes from Charlie Weston. It says, looking for a different podcast, I stumbled upon yours, realized it realized it wasn't what I was looking for, and left. 2 days later, I came back. The one I was looking for was crap in compared to yours. Keep up that shit. Upon listening to your show, I found I could write in a question. So here it is. My sister was recently accepted to a school in NYC for actors, and one question she was asked was who she wanted to play her in her life story. It's a life coach thing, I think. So I pose it to you. Who would be the best and worst person to play you in a movie? Signed, Charlie Weston. I've been thinking about this for 3 days. Um, I think my worst, the person that I would not want to play me at all, would be the Noah kid from Stranger Things. Guy
Oh
was,
yeah.
yeah. I don't. It's not that I don't like his ability. I just don't think it'd be. It's a really. It's the type of person that I wouldn't want to be playing me physically.
Mm.
However, in my current state, the person who I want to be playing me, the best person to play me is Johnny Sins. For anybody who don't know who Johnny Sins and Johnny Sins is a porno actor. He's a
Okay, thank you for
bald
explaining
porno
that.
actor. He's If you ever see those memes that have like The Rock and Jason Statham and Bruce Willis, and it says uh you know who the other bald guy is in the 4th spot, but there's no bald guy there. That's what those memes are returning to. If you want to look up to see who Johnny Sins is, everybody out there, do it on a computer that is not linked to anything you care about, because there is some spicy content on top of that. And Granted, I'm pretty sure that your wives and girlfriends already know who Johnny Sins is, so I wouldn't worry about that particular part. Anyway, Nancy, who would be your best and worst person to play you in a movie?
Okay, let's fix because I got like the full sun in my face right now. Um, so I am gonna go my the only one I can think of for like my best one is definitely I really like Anna Kendrick. We don't really look that alike, but I feel like she has the best energy to bring me. And like she's the closest thing I can think of. Too old, but I could also see Kate McKinnon being good. But definitely Anna Kendrick as my best. My worst, I don't know. Christopher Mintz Pass. Don't cast me as a dude. Also,
Hmm.
probably don't cast like don't cast Sydney Sweeney as me. Um, that wouldn't work.
I mean, if you're gonna shoot for the sky type thing, you never know.
I'll take Anna
Anyway,
Kendrick.
Charlie Weston, thank you for your question. Uh, if you want to be part of the thank you to review in the Bastards crew, it is bracket BRACKETTY2R at yahoo.com to get in.
No, that's
Works for all the shows that we have on the Bastards channel. Welcome back for round two. These are actually the quarter final matchups. The audience starts us off. In the audience version, it's either going to be Fight Club or Alice in Wonderland. Both of these, by the way, are sweeps through round one. And the audience says in a matchup between 20 to 22, so it's a very close vote as far as the audience goes. They have chosen Fight Club in a very close vote. I I'm torn, to be perfectly honest, because like I like the movie Fight Club better than Allison than than I than than I like Alice, but she has a much bigger role
yeah.
in Alice. But just for that line alone, I haven't been fucked like that since grade school. I got to go with Fight Club,
Mm,
and I'm pretty sure that line is going to be added to the quotes bracket again when we do it in January next year. That's my birthday special that we do each year, the entire movie quotes bracket, because it's a fun time to be had every single year. Anyway, Nancy, finish this up. Is it Fight Club or Alice in Wonderland?
so it's like I definitely feel like Fight Club is probably a bit of a stronger movie, but she is so much fun in the Alice movies, especially in the first Alice in Wonderland movie. Sorry, I was about to go all Travis Kelsey for those who know and go Alice in Wonderland. Um, but she is so much fun as a Red Queen. She is so amazing. And I kind of just want to go for Alice in Wonderland just because I love her as a Red Queen.
Fight Club moves on 2-1 to the next round. I start this one off. It's either going to be Les Mis or Harry Potter. I'm a theater kid.
Hmm.
I'll usually vote for theater movies. To be perfectly honest, out of the last, there's only two theater movies left in this one. Is Les Mis and Sweeney Todd. If they make it to the finals, I don't know what the hell I'm going to do. But Les Mis gets my vote in this one just because of that. And I do enjoy Harry Potter, especially that scene. I think she did an absolutely wonderful job. The fact that
Yeah.
she can, coming from a theater background, I know singing and acting at the same time is extremely difficult to do.
Yeah.
And especially singing and acting that close to Cohen
Hmm.
and not breaking character.
Yeah.
So
And also some of the things that they had the two of them doing in their number.
so I'm gonna give it to Les Mis on this one, if anything, to break up the sweep. Nancy, is it Harry Potter or Les Mis?
So another theater kid here, as I mentioned. Also, but I was also a Potter nerd, so this is this is very tough for me. And Bellatrix is an incredible villain.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, I'm going full on with the Les Mis love because I do enjoy Les Mis. It is a very it's not one of your feel good fun time musicals, but it is, as someone who has performed the music from Les Mis, it is a difficult musical. That is a really fun number that she's in. She also had a killer screen partner in Sacha Baron Cohen, and she was able to hold her own and be like really good at that character, which if you have like seen the show, those are the characters where you can have a bad one is like, oh gosh, but good ones are like, yes. And they were really good. And they were like two of the best parts of that movie. So I'm gonna go with Les Mis.
And another two to one victory. Les Mis moves on to the next round, kicking out the winner of the bracket according to the audience. Harry Potter stays in round two. Next up, Nancy starts us off. Nancy, is it Big Fish or Great Expectations?
Mm. As much as I enjoyed the Great Expectations movie, I gotta go with Big Fish. I gotta go with Big Fish. I feel like Big Fish is also the Great Expectations movie. I've seen it once. I'm fine with seeing it once. She is incredible in that movie, but I don't need to see it again. Unless I don't know I ever decide to become an English teacher. But Big Fish, I'll totally watch that one again. Just for fun. Totally will.
I mean, shout out to all the really, really, really good English teachers out there that actually make learning fun. I
Yeah.
appreciate you. My love for reading. I'm not really reading because I don't really like to read, but I like to listen to stories, and so my love of books in general it comes from you guys. So shout out to you. Later
Oh,
on,
shout out to, yeah.
speaking
English
of
teachers are incredible.
speaking of
I write for fun, and it's because of I had a lot of great English teachers.
speaking of all of our teachers out there, by the way, on 8/24 of this year, Totally Teachers will be debuting as far as the bracket goes. We'll be talking about different teachers on TVs and movies like Mr. Feeney, for instance, will be getting a definite high seed on that one. Uh, I, I'm putting Wilson in there from Home Improvement because even though he wasn't technically a teacher on the show, he did teach classes throughout the entire
Mhm.
season, the entire series as well. So he would be technically a teacher. And there's a Cotter from Welcome Back. Cotter is going to be on there, and Minerva. Speaking of Harry Potter, Minerva is going to be on there as well. There's a whole bunch of different. There's definitely a 32 bracket right there just waiting. So that
Did
is
you
going to be
ever
our
see
saluted teachers this year.
Fluffy's TV show?
On what?
Or did you ever see or even know that Gabriel Iglesias Fluffy had a TV show on
Yes,
Netflix?
I watched a couple. I didn't have Netflix at the time, but I did watch a couple episodes, and I just couldn't get into it because I'm used to a stand-up comedy. And
We we actually really loved the show, and we actually loved him being a history teacher because that's what he was in the show. Is he was a history teacher, and actually the school that they said that he was a history teacher at was the actual school he went to.
mhm.
And so basically, but like he's one of we loved him and we actually enjoyed him as a history teacher, and he was like a really good TV teacher, even though it only got 2 seasons. Makes us sad.
I'm going to be looking for once we get closer to it. I'm going to be looking for teachers for that particular episode too. My goal is whoever wants to be on that show to bring a teacher of their own because I think
Hmm.
I can fit up to 10 people on the screen at one time. So bring bring a teacher of their own to kind of team up with as a teacher student type thing to and their vote will count as one, but just to do that cuz I think it'd be a fun idea to bring teachers and their past students together to have a little bit of fun. Anyway, I'm gonna go for Big Fish as well. Like I said, it's a dad movie, and I appreciate dad movies because I'm a dad, and dads are not normally portrayed as well as they should be. Granted, sometimes dads are portrayed very, very, very well, like Bandit, and we can never really live up to such great expectations. I did hear today, though, that
Nice.
there's a comedian talking about how parents don't like the show Bluey because it they can't live up to such great expectations and uh to them two things. One, it's a 7-minute episode
Yeah.
and those are probably the highlights of the show.
Mm-hmm.
And two, Bandit and Chili both go through things on that show that normal adults would go through as
Oh
well, and
yeah.
it's portrayed on the show. So it's not necessarily a highlight episode. It just depends on how deep you actually look into it. So anybody out there who think that the show is has holds too high of standards for parents, uh, those standards are much lower than you actually would imagine they would be. Audience starts us off on this one. Audience finishing out round two. It's either going to be Dark Shadows or Sweeney Todd. Uh, Theater Kid again automatically gets my vote, but even if I wasn't Theater Kid, between how good Sweeney Todd and how Sweeney Todd is and how good Dark Shadows is, it would have been a vote for Sweeney Todd anyway on that one. Uh, for me, the audience, though, however, is going to go for Sweeney Todd as well. Sorry, I voted out of turn. Didn't mean to. And a vote of 59-4. So it's a huge, huge jump in that one. Sweeney Todd gets both of our votes. Nancy, is it Sweeney Todd or Dark Shadows?
This is about Sweeney Todd. It's Sweeney Todd. Sorry, I got Sweeney Todd playing in my head. I also will say like I'm totally going for Sweeney Todd. When it's not going up against Corpse Bride, I'm going for Sweeney Todd. Um I adore this musical. I was so stoked when I heard that Tim Burton was doing the film adaptation of this. Also, the whole cast of this movie is so on point. So perfect. We have Severus Snape as the judge, Alan Rickman. We have Johnny Depp as Sweeney Todd, Helena Bonham Carter as Mrs. Lovett, and we have Vecna as Anthony. Um, it's 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 an incredible movie. I love it. I sing it all the time. Sweeney Todd.
Not to mention Wormtail's in there too.
Yeah, Wormtail's in there too.
Mhm.
So many Harry Potter because Jamie Campbell Bower was in Harry Potter for a hot minute. And then we had Severus Snape, and we have Helena Bonham Carter. We have Wormtail. Also, Sacha Baron Cohen was in that one as well. Because he was Signor Pirelli's Miracle Elixir.
Mhm.
He was Signor Pirelli.
So Sweeney Todd moves on 3-0 to the next round. We'll be right back right after this break.
I love Sweeney Todd.
All right. So what you been up to there, Nancy?
Uh, we're working a lot on the podcast. I am one of like producers, so I do a lot of like the writing of the ads and stuff, and we're getting some good guests coming up. We're also trying to plot out how we're finishing up our season. So come check us out. We're having a lot of fun just deciding how to torture David in the next coming episodes. So it's going to be fun.
PF Jeremiah, by the way, is a new show that the ABC podcast network is enjoying on our selection every other Saturday. So yesterday, as this episode drops on Spotify, the second episode from the ABC version will be going live as far as it goes, and I believe it's called Manos. Uh,
So the first one was Manos. The second one, I believe, is Fight Club.
okay, so the second one's Fight Club. Either that or I did it out of order. I can't remember.
I
But
I had a lot of fun producing Fight Club, so please check out Fight Club. We bring back two of our favorite co-stars as Dr. Jeremiah's half brother and grandfather, and it takes place in the infernal realm. So please check us out. Like, it's one of my favorites of this season. It's really fun.
and of course, I'm your host of this show, Freddie Fisher. I host a whole bunch of different shows. Second to this one, of course, is a recasting call. Uh, Spaceballs is the May episode that we will be recording next month. However, the Star Wars episode, which I am currently editing, is done and it will be out on April Fool's Day of this year. Oddly enough, and the one that is currently out, the latest one currently out, is an episode that Kevin joined us on, the bearded bastard himself, and that is the uh, Golden Girls. Yeah, the Golden Girls episode, which is the only TV show that we've ever done so far, and it's the only TV show that's listed at least until next January. So you have that to look forward to. We also have a pro wrestling podcast called Central Booking, where each episode we take on a new topic. This upcoming topic that we'll be recording is predicting the next 10 years of the Royal Rumble winners. The last episode that just went out is a who we would pick for our Hall of Fame this year. What else do we have? We have Bastards Backstage, which is a one-on-one interview show. There's 20 questions, millions of answers, and of course, one of the new shows will be coming up this summer is a show called Versus, where we take two people, pit them against each other, and have them pick out a bracket of their very own, and they have to decide a winner amongst themselves. And there's a whole bunch of fun. There's a draft episode. It's a draft show, and a tournament episode. Is a whole bunch of fun each time. Different subjects as well. So if you want to be on any of these, again, bracket BRACKETTY2R at yahoo.com. Welcome back for the final four, and I start this one off. It's either going to be Fight Club or Les Mis.
Mm.
Again, the amount of acting ability that she had to have, granted, she was younger in Fight Club, but the amount of acting ability she had to have in Les Mis to go toe to toe with Cohen, not only singing, but dancing, all that stuff going on, and to be able to keep a straight face around him would get my vote in this particular one. I do love the line, I haven't been fucked like that since grade school. But my theater nerd heart and the stuff I already mentioned will be getting Les Mis is my particular vote on that one. Nancy, is it Les Mis or Fight Club?
It's lame as I I love I love that musical so much, and also that musical again as a theater kid, that has a bit of a sentimental um place in my heart too. It's like Fight Club. It's a great movie, but at the end of the day, I don't really have any emotional connection. I have emotional connection to Les Mis. I competed in choral competitions with Les Mis songs, and I performed Les Mis on a medley on stage with my show choir. So like, I love Les Mis. I'm going to go with Les Mis.
Les Mis moves on 2-1 to the finals. In a sweep versus sweep, Nancy starts us off. And one of these has the options of a pearl necklace as well, which is only the second time we've ever had it happen. And it's
Hmm.
either going to be Sweeney Todd or Big Fish.
Oh. Oh. I'm trying to decide right now. So this is hard for me because, like I said, I truly really enjoy Big Fish, but Sweeney Todd, I have a long history of this with this musical. I love this musical. Um, I have no qualms with this film adaptation of this musical. Um, it's I'm gonna go with Sweeney Todd, and I'm setting us up for the most difficult final round. I hope I'm not setting us up for a very difficult final round.
Sorry, I was doing some math on that one. I'm gonna go with
Yeah.
Sweeney Todd on this one as well. The audience, by the way, in a vote of 59-25, went with Sweeney Todd. The finals for the audience, by the way,
Mm-hmm.
since we've gotten to the finals now, was Sweeney Todd and Harry Potter.
Mm.
So, and it was kind of a tight vote on that one. So, having Sweeney Todd move on. By the way, Sweeney Todd, the only vote to go against Sweeney Todd at this current time was Corpse Bride back in
Yeah.
round one. Les Mis
And,
has
and, and
had
that was just because I really, really love Corpse Bride, and I
yep,
just was very mad I had to pick between the two of them.
picking between Sweeney Todd and Big Fish is a pain in the ass too. But
Yeah, that was also a pain in the butt. But
Sweeney
I
Todd
am
in the
very attached to
finals.
Emily.
Audience starts off in third place. It's either going to be Fight Club or Big Fish. Uh, Big Fish in a vote of 25-22 off of that one, so very close vote as well. It gets the audience vote. It also gets my vote because again, dad movie. Like it, it's hard for me to vote against it. Nancy, is it Big Fish or Fight Club?
Oh, it's Big Fish. It's Big Fish. Um, like I said, like I like Fight Club. I know a lot of people love Fight Club, but like Big Fish, just like that is the movie. Is that final scene just lives rent free in my head? Um, Fight Club. The only thing that lives rent free in my head is uh the whole shoot at your imaginary friend dad idea line. So I'm going Big Fish.
Big Fish gets third place, but always number one in my heart. I start off the finals. It is either going to be Les Mis or Sweeney Todd. I'm gonna go with Les Mis on this one because Sweeney
Yeah.
Todd has already won a tournament. It actually won our musicals tournament, which we did a couple of years ago, and it was my birthday episode before we started doing the quotes versions of them. And ironically enough, I didn't get to vote during that entire show, so I was super sad. But Les Mis gets my vote just so it can have a chance. I will reveal to you right now, by the way, before you vote, Nancy, that Sweeney Todd got the audience vote.
Oh, okay.
So ultimately, it comes down to you because it's going to be a split vote between Les Mis and Sweeney Todd.
That actually makes me feel a little bit better with how I'm going to vote. So I'm just going to say again. So Les Mis, I think this is what I was going to use as we're going into this, and this is a very difficult choice. Is I'm going back to both which musical I have like the deepest connection to, also which musical, because this is Helena Bonham Carter, which musical do I think had like she was best suited for her role? She had the she did the best job. I really think it's Les Mis. I really do. She's fine. She's great as Mrs. Levitt, and she's even said in interviews. She joked in an interview that she only dated Tim Burton so that she could play Mrs. Levitt. She made that joke in an interview for the movie.
That is a dick thing to say.
I mean, if you know about their relationship when they were in a relationship together, how their relationship worked, that that makes sense for their relationship. That
She
was
also the thing with that though is that she has a much lesser part in Les Mis than she does in
yeah.
Sweeney Todd.
She has a lesser part, but in Les Mis, she steals the show, and that is like you had a lot of great performers in Les Mis. Not necessarily Russell Crowe. We'll be real. Not necessarily. I don't think he did a terrible job.
No,
We could have had like a Pierce Brosnan Mamma Mia situation. So Russell Crowe could at least sing. But I feel bubbles.
hold on. But
Hold on.
before Bubbles talks, Bubbles.
Hi. I do.
I forgot to do mine. I got mine too.
I say I just finished my my first one. I haven't got to open my second one yet. Bubbles, you are coming in at the the very last vote as well. Like we're in the finals right now, and Les Mis ended up winning the entire thing,
What?
which is surprising. I know. So um, let me catch you up real quick. Between between Ocean's 8 and Fight Club won that one. Alice in Wonderland versus Looking Glass. Alice in Wonderland won that one. Fight Club versus Alice. Fight Club won that one. And Cinderella, Les Mis. Les Mis won that one. Harry Potter versus Series of Unfortunate Events. Potter won that one. Les Mis beat Potter. So it was Les Mis over Fight Club to move to the finals. Other side, Big Fish beat Big Fish. Big Fish beat Lone Ranger. Great Expectations beat Planet of the Apes. Big Fish beat Great Expectations to move in the final four. Dark Shadows beat out Charlie and Chocolate Factory. Sweeney Todd beat out Corpse Bride in a very tough decision. And yeah, uh, Sweeney Todd beat out Dark Shadows. And then it was Sweeney Todd versus Big Fish in a sweep. Sweeney Todd beat out Big Fish for the to go into the finals. It was Big Fish versus Fight Club for third place, and a sweep again. Big Fish moved on to get third place. So the finals ended up being Les Mis versus Sweeney Todd. So, having said all that, uh, get your thoughts on any one of those movies, but most definitely the finals between Les Mis and Sweeney Todd. Sorry, that was a lot. I know it was.
That was a lot of information. I did want to let you know I am still waiting for my client to come in, but I, of course, wanted to pop in and say hello. Um, are we doing speed rounds? Is that what this is right
No,
now?
the show was a Sweet 16, and I just we've had people out sick and a whole bunch of other stuff as well. So it's just we haven't had the ability to do much. So it was just myself, Nancy, and the audience. And of course, the audience doesn't really talk. The audience has talked all week and has gotten their votes in. So it was just myself and Nancy doing the actual voting and stuff. So it's just a shorter show this week.
That's okay. It happens. We all have those times.
But it's always good to see you though
Thank you.
Bubbles.
I appreciate that.
Getting the cans popped just in case. So
I know. I feel so honored that that had waited until I came in here. I don't know if you had any more beforehand, but
just the one.
they were just on hand.
One for me too.
Oh.
Because I popped. This is my second one. I popped the second one for you.
And
Hmm.
but since we just had the two people, we didn't have any past partials or steal of those or blown a load. But if anybody has ever had the chance to blow their load, this is what you would hear.
Oh, I love that.
And there was a time that we were talking about Big Fish and how emotional that movie is, so we ended up doing this one.
Emotional damage.
I do love Big Fish.
Sorry, we're just having fun now. Anyway, what's your
Big
thoughts
Fish.
between Les Mis and Sweeney Todd?
I think I'm actually gonna go with Sweeney Todd on this. I do love Les Mis, but I think that Sweeney Todd just kind of, I don't know. There's just something about it.
Well, that
Yeah.
that is our show this week. You can find Nancy at.
You can find me over at the Dr. P.F. Jeremiah and his Infernal Roommate podcast. I am an executive producer, and I occasionally pop up as Natalia Attenborough. So come check us out.
You can find Bubbles the Senator at.
You can find me right here on Bracket Bastards, or you can also find me on TikTok under Bubbles the Senator.
And of course, I'm your host, Freddie Fisher. You can find me at that on Facebook. While you're on Facebook, check out Bracket Bastards, the audience vote, where you can go ahead and vote along with us all week. And as you can tell by today's episode, that your vote counts a lot. Speaking of this week on the audience vote for next week's show, we were talking about movies that only sound dirty, like Deep Impact and Big Daddy and Fun with Dick and Jane, and hell, just for shits and giggles, how about Dick and stuff like that. And there's a whole bunch of movies that just sound really dirty. After that, Nancy will be joining us again, and we were talking about Disney villain songs. And in a couple of weeks, we'll be doing the WrestleMania special as well, which for all you wrestling fans, we only have 2 wrestling-based brackets a year now because we have our own wrestling show. So there is that. On Twitter, you can find me at Fisher777. We're all at Bracket Pod. And as always, on Instagram, you can find me at Can't Lick Me, not one word. That is our show this week, guys. I try to end every show with a quote. Today's quote is by the head baddie in charge herself, HBC Helena Bonham Carter. And this is imperfection is underrated. Perfection is completely overrated. That is our show this week, guys. See you next week.